What's going to happen next is going to revolutionize how everyone is going to see agents. Synergetics is powering the agent economy. One morning, I woke up with this epiphany. I said, oh, I can see the future. The next 4 hours, I was just feverishly typing all of my ideas, which became the pattern. It's a set of building blocks that you need in order to make the agent economy happen. You and me are going to create our own digital twins. They'll look like us, they'll talk like us. Your twin could be shopping for you while you are busy doing other things. You can be so much more productive. All of the devices, they will be agents. Every car, every parking meter, every toll booth, everything around us is going to become a smart device.
I know you talk to companies like Google and Deloitte. You're going to try to help them send those agents out into the real world. That's what got our attention.
Every company has a sort of moved from a human-centric workforce to a hybrid workforce made up of humans and agents. Now it's a question of whether you can catch up or not.
You're a head learning facilitator of MIT courses. What's it like being associated with that institution and then going there regularly and be able to meet with all the people that come there?
When you get these really bright minds together in a room, it's just incredible what happens, because that starts to then germinate into various branches of ideas that you then connect later on.
You've had 4 exits. What keeps you excited? What keeps you building?
I'm just passionate about the field. I want to be in on the next new thing. Let's focus on what's cool and let's go and do that. And that's what keeps me driven.
The world is changing. Inspiration is everywhere. It has never been so easy to connect, share, and bring people together. We're learning from others and finding the best in ourselves. Challenging our beliefs. Sharing our vulnerability. Overcoming our fears. Transforming ourselves so we can transform the world. How far can we go?
This is London Real. I am Brian Rose. My guest today is...
Hey, I know investing in crypto is scary. It takes a real leap of faith because there are so many scams, rug pulls, and bad actors out there. It's a dangerous business, which is why 95% of people lose all their money. Well, that's why I created the London Real Investment Club, so you can access the hottest deals on the planet and use the crypto bull market to create the generational wealth that you deserve. Join my team of over 100 people from around the world that are making millions of dollars behind the scenes investing in blockchain, AI, Web3 games, DeFi, Bitcoin, and more. Don't miss out. Click the link below to book a call with one of my team now. But hurry, this bull market will end soon.
I know investing in crypto can be scary. That's why you gotta join the investment club. Pull the trigger. Let's do this.
This is London Real. I am Brian Rose. My guest today is Raghu Bala, the technology entrepreneur, educator, and founder of Synergetics, a company which is powering the tokenized AI agent economy with the world's first patented A-to-A communication protocol. You've held senior roles at Yahoo, Infospace, and PwC, had 4 successful startup exits, and hold an MBA from the Wharton School and a master's degree in computer science from RPI. You're also the head managing instructor for 2U's MIT Sloan School's AI and blockchain programs, and an adjunct professor at VIT in India. At Synergetics, your mission is to empower the Agentic AI ecosystem, a world where autonomous AI agents, digital twins, and devices can interact, transact, and learn. With the upcoming launch of the SGTX Token, Synergetics is helping build the financial and technical backbone of the agent economy. Raghu, welcome to London Real.
Thanks for having me, Brian.
It's great having you here. I want to start by saying that Synergetics is one of our portfolio companies here at London Real Ventures, the world's first media-powered investment firm, where our mission is to transform the world by investing in cutting-edge Web3 and AI companies while giving our partners exposure across the London Real media platforms and academies. We heighten awareness, create customers, and build communities by leveraging our global audience and network. Raghu, we are super excited to be part of this journey with you. So let's jump in. What is Synergetics?
So Synergetics is powering the agent economy. So for all of us who have seen other economies develop, so for example, if you look at YouTube, so it's a meeting place for creators, for advertisers and consumers to come in, and they all transact. I mean, consumers consume content, creators create that content, and advertisers help monetize that content by sharing the proceeds with the creators. So the same way, we are seeing the same movement happen again, but this time around for agents. And so currently what's happening in the industry is everyone has used probably ChatGPT. So that's like the first real consumer version of AI. AI has been around for a long time. I've used it even during my Yahoo days. But for the everyday person, AI has been sort of not within reach, but until ChatGPT came around. So ChatGPT is a simple application that's built on top of a model and so on, right? So what happens is now AI is just almost like, think of it as electricity. Now, what came after electricity was you had light bulbs, you had electric trains, you had television, you had motion picture, you had everything. All of those powered by electricity. So the way I look at it is foundation models are like electricity. They give us the building blocks. Now what do we do with it? And agents are the first sort of manifestation of that electricity in a kind of a kinetic form where it can start to do things. And so agents currently are being used by enterprises within the organization. But then that's a sort of a short-term trend. I mean, it's the beginnings, the foundations. But what's going to happen next is going to revolutionize how everyone is going to see agents. Because what's going to happen on the consumer side, you and me are going to create our own digital twins. Our twins will be replicas of us. They'll look like us, they'll talk like us, they'll speak in many more languages than you and I even know. But they can be our sort of alter ego online and be able to conduct transactions on our behalf. So Brian, you might be running or practicing for your next marathon, but then your twin could be shopping for you while you are busy doing other things. And then you have empowered your twin to do various things, and it'll complete those tasks. And so you can be so much more productive. But the same thing with companies. Companies are going to have twins or their agents be able to transact with other agents outside the enterprise, with their suppliers, their partners, so on and so forth. So for that to happen, you need the agent economy in place. And that agent economy needs many building blocks. And that plumbing, those building blocks are what we have built in AgentWorks, our flagship platform.
And is that based on the patent that you have on this A2A technology? It was one of the reasons we were really drawn to you, because there's a lot at stake here. And if you get this wrong, I mean, you could ruin companies. You could lose billions, I would think. And so this exact protocol is important. Maybe you could tell me a little bit about the patent and how your tech is different.
Sure. So actually, one morning, I think in 2024, I woke up one Sunday morning. I don't know, maybe I had a good night's sleep or whatnot. I woke up with this epiphany. I said, oh, I can see the future. I know exactly when this happened, because the next 4 hours, I was just feverishly typing all of my ideas, which became the patent. But it's a set of building blocks that you need in order to make the agent economy happen. So the first building block is agents need to have identity. So without identity, nothing else matters. But that identity needs to be registered somewhere. And that's where the registry comes in. So the registry is like a yellow pages, old-fashioned yellow pages where you look up people's names. Here you look up the ID of the agent. So why do you need that? You need that for a process called discoverability. So I'll just give you a quick note on that. That's very important. It's very crucial part, which is why we are partnered with MIT Media Lab on these registries. So for instance, it's a kind of a funny quiz I give some of my co-workers. I said, if you have one person, you need no connections. You've got no one to connect with. If you have two, you have one connection. If you have three people, you have three connections. A connects to B, A connects to C, B connects to C. If you have four people, A connects to B, A connects to C, A connects to D, and then vice versa, all of them connect. It's 6 connections. So that's called a n times n minus 1 over 2. It's a O(n) squared problem in computer science. That means it's got a complexity of n squared. Now, when you have a registry, that complexity gets down to 1. That means if I want to connect with you, I don't need to know your address a priori. I just have to look it up in the registry and say, let me get the address of Brian's twin and then connect with Brian's twin, like that. So this is, I know it gets a bit technical, but it's very important because it reduces complexity. So the idea is all the agents in the world will ultimately register themselves with the registry. So we have our registry, other companies like Google and Salesforce and ServiceNow and so on, they're all creating registries. And so the folks at MIT and us got together, and one of the things that we decided to build, co-develop, was a registry of registries, which is like a yellow pages of yellow pages, where all of the world's agents can be somehow traced. And so if anyone wants to talk to anyone, they can look it up. And that becomes like an index. Very similar to how Google is an index of web pages, this is an index of all the agents in the world. So that's a critical building block. So you have ID, you have registry. The next thing, if you want the agent economy to function, just like you and I carry our driver's license in our wallet, the agent has a wallet. And that wallet contains not only a driver's license, we normally carry credit cards or currency so that you can go out and buy a cup of coffee. So same way here, the agents have got a wallet which has cryptocurrency or stable coins. And now that's the third building block. The fourth building block is where the A2A protocol comes in. So at this point, I've described an ID and so on. We have the agent also has a name. So we have the lock on dot twin. So you can have Brian.twin. That TLD belongs to us. We have partnered with Unstoppable Domains on that. So then the next step is this agent will have to communicate with websites or with other agents. So this is where A2A comes in. So with websites, you can connect via this protocol that Anthropic produced called, which is becoming the standard for the industry, called MCP, Model Context Protocol. Okay. And then with other agents, you need to use agent-agent protocol. And this is where we had our patent approved in February of this year. It's called Agent Talk. And it describes how two agents will communicate with one another. And the first level is basically authentication and authorization to make sure that you are who you really claim to be. And to prevent that, whenever we add agents to a registry, we go through a process called KYA, know your agent. Similar to KYC and KYB that's already there in the banking world. It's KYA now. Second level of the protocol is vocabulary. So for instance, if you go to a math class, the conversation is about math. But if you go to a soccer practice, the conversation is most likely about soccer, nothing to do with math. So there are vocabularies in every conversation that happens. So the same way, we have created an extensible set of vocabularies, but we have given it away as open source in the sense that any company can extend vocabularies. You can build whatever vocabulary you want. So a canonical example that we have is these agents can not only manifest themselves in the virtual world, but they can also manifest themselves in the physical world. For example, a car can be an agent and a parking meter can be an agent. The same car can be an agent with a toll booth or a fast food drive-through. But those three vocabularies are different because the parking meter only understands parking. And the fast food will only understand, let's say Wendy's fast food, will only understand Wendy's menu and that vocabulary. So these vocabularies will become numerous over time. So that's the crux of our protocol. And I'll segue into something which is kind of interesting, because when we approached Google recently, after, I saw their VP give a talk at the MIT Media Labs event in July. And we approached him and he said, you guys have introduced A2A, which is after we, came to market. But then we want to go in the spirit of collaboration, because there's no use for multiple standards to be in the industry. It's better to coalesce towards something that everyone will use, will be beneficial for the whole ecosystem. So we've come together to try to extend A2A, and there are benefits of A2A, and then we have certain unique attributes and benefits. So we are now working closely with Google and other players in the market for agent payments. And so that's a huge area, but I'll stop there. If you have more questions, we'll go into agent payments a bit more.
So this is a huge piece, and I'm good friends with Yatsu of Animoca Brands, and I'm good friends with Dan Tapiero, who runs a whole suite of funds called 50T, and he invests billions of dollars. And both of them have been telling me for years that they were really bullish on blockchain because it was the only mechanism where AI and AI agents could compensate each other with these microtransactions and fast transactions. And they've been talking about this for years before I really saw it coming into practice. And I remember I asked you a question on our Zoom call, and I asked this question a lot to our potential portfolio companies. I said, Raghu, why do this on the blockchain? I think I said, why screw this up by putting it on the blockchain? And you came back with a really powerful answer of why you needed payment rails on the blockchain. And I was wondering if you could tell us why the blockchain is not only important, but maybe it's the only way you can have these agents communicate with each other.
Yeah, so for example, there are some new protocols that have come about even since we spoke. It's kind of incredible. So now, first of all, let me cover blockchain. So if you look at the payment rails of the traditional banking system, the settlement time is 2 days. You're not going to have a car talking to a parking meter, which needs to park now, needs to pay now, and you come back and tell the parking meter, I'll make sure the money gets to you in 2 days. That's not going to fly. So you need something which is immediate. And one of the things that afflicted the blockchain space was gas fees. We all have, those in the Web3 world know about these fees. Yeah. They were somewhat expensive, exorbitant at times. And so now there's a new protocol called 402, which is on-chain, but the transaction fees is less than, it's like 0.001 cent, something like that. And so this is becoming very popular now. And so I believe that it will become a primary way in which agents pay other agents. Okay. Because these microtransactions we are talking about a few cents. You cannot have a gas fee of $10 for something which you are paying few cents for. It makes no sense. So it has to be really almost negligible. And that's what 402 does.
That's an Ethereum protocol.
I believe so. I believe so. It's Coinbase is behind it. And so. But the fact remains that blockchain is the only way in which you need to establish these payments, because it's the only universal way in which agents anywhere in the world can pay. Otherwise, if you look at the banking system, it's when you go to different countries, they have different they all sort of somehow have got correspondent banks and get to SWIFT in some way, shape or form, but it's many layers and a lot of charges, which is why when you send funds, let's say, if you send it over certain cryptocurrencies, it's like a few cents, and then if you send it over your bank, and in the US, it's $45 per transaction, regardless of what I'm sending. So it's a non-starter. So blockchain is the only way. And then within blockchain, we have to go down to the least expensive way of doing it. And I think these microtransactions are going to be numerous. In fact, they're going to outstrip the number of transactions that we see with humans involved in payments.
Right. Okay. And I think you also said on top of that, you're looking at a 3% transaction charge for everything on credit cards and debit cards. So not only is it slow, it's just prohibitive.
Yes. So what happens is once you have there are three layers there. There's the banks, then there is a sort of a gateway fee, and then you have the providers, which is, it could be your PayPal and other players over there. So all of them take a cut.
Investment Club. Today, I consider it the best investment that I've ever made. We get 4 projects presented a week by their associated CEOs. Personally, I'm completely blown away by the quality of these projects, and I know of nowhere else where I would be given this same opportunity. Each week that passes, I feel more appreciative of the fact that I'm a member of this group. The vibe was just tremendous. Everybody's on the same wavelength. We just clicked. Everybody listened to each other, enjoyed their company. It was just magical, magical. Take action. Don't take my word for it. Due diligence you need to do. And I really hope that someday down the road I see you in the club. It far exceeded expectations, without question.
You remove the middleman, what is 3% actually goes down to 0.54%. Okay. And now I'm seeing that even with this 402, it's even lower than that. It's not even 0.54%, like way lower. So the 0.54% is when you use stable coins. But now I think this 402 even beats stable coins in terms of payment. So it's numerically, it's mathematically the only way to do it.
Okay. You mentioned blockchain. Are you working with any of the blockchains? And if so, is it Ethereum and how does that look right now?
So right now we have an agent wallet, the world's first agent wallet, which can be used by the owner of the wallet and his proxy, which is his twin. Okay. Or same thing applies for B2B as well. So this wallet is multi-chain. So we have Bitcoin, all the Ethereum variants, and all the Solana variants. And now we're adding AVAX because NASDAQ is going to tokenize all stocks apparently on AVAX. Okay. So tokenized stocks. So we are this is a multi-chain wallet. There's a mobile app on iOS and Android that anyone can download. And also the agent version of it is an API version. It's not visible to the, it's like running behind the scenes. And so we also, the registry that we started off with Polygon, but we're moving it to Base because Base is beginning to be like a major player in that space. And we want to be as mainstream as possible. We don't want to give any reason for anyone to not adopt these technologies because it's too important, kind of a wave that's coming.
Yeah, I think Base is a really smart move. We speak to a lot of startups in Web3 and we fund a lot of startups. And right now, when I talk about where they're going to launch their token, it's almost always Base #1 and perhaps Solana #2.
Right.
And what Base gives you is, first of all, an amazing layer 2 on Ethereum where you can transact fast and cheaply, but it also potentially gives you access to every Coinbase user and maybe every Coinbase institutional user.
Right.
And they're doing a lot of custody for a lot of big entities, including, I think the US government. They do custody right now for their crypto. So, and they're pushing it with their own social network, et cetera. So I think that's really smart. When it comes to agents, we've all heard these great dreams that an agent is going to do all these things for you, but I know we haven't always seen that in practice. And I know you talk to companies like Google and Deloitte and these other big companies that, like you said, are using agents internally, but that's only going to get you so much.
Right.
You're going to try to help them send those agents out into the real world where things get dicey and dangerous.
Right.
Can you talk about some of the challenges that the industry is facing, with that final step, of putting agents out in the wild and in these businesses, these B2B plays, because that's where you unlock a lot of value. One of the reasons we decided to invest in Synergetics is that unlike most AI plays in Web3, they're selling the services to the Web3 players. And this is a big mistake people make in crypto, is they build crypto tech for the crypto bros and realize there's no audience and then the company goes nowhere. You know this.
Right.
But when you guys we're talking to Google, we're talking to these huge institutions, that's what got our attention.
Yeah. So I I concur with that. The issue is this: when I went to the Web3 conferences, or when I go to the Web2 conferences, there are almost like two religions at play. The AI guys, and then when I go to the Web3 conferences, there are crypto guys, and both are talking about decentralized AI. But then they are saying different things. And so we set out to say that, okay, what are the things that will easily see mass adoption? So when you look at decentralized AI, it's made up of three types of AI: decentralized compute, decentralized data, and decentralized identity. So when we talk to enterprises, I know for a fact that they don't want decentralized compute and they don't want decentralized data. They're very protective of their data and they want to run it on machines that they control. Right. So decentralized compute and decentralized data doesn't work for them. So we said, okay, we'll not endorse or go that route, but they're okay with decentralized ID. Okay. So if you take any enterprise, any big company, when you look at their workforce, almost I'd say 90-95% of the people in the company work internally. They're working on internal things like finance or marketing or whatnot. But then about 5%, the C-level people, the sales people, and some marketing people, they'll have to have outreach with external folks. So same way for agents, what's going to happen is you're going to have this sort of bifurcation. You're going to have agents that work inside the company and will not interact with anything outside, and then you're going to have a few agents which will have contact points with external people. So if I take a finance department, for example, let's say a public company, usually the auditor is an external company like Pricewaterhouse or Deloitte or KPMG or whatnot. So there'll be some people in the finance department who will interact with the auditors outside, and so imagine this is an agent on your enterprise side and this is the agent on the other side. So you'll have some interactions. So now there is a sort of an epiphany happening where companies are starting to think, oh yeah, we are using agents internally, but soon they'll have to interface with outside agents. And so I had an opportunity to talk to the chief AI officer of Fidelity recently in a conference, in a kind of an open setting, and I asked him this very question: are you starting to interact with agents outside your enterprise? And he said that's definitely a movement towards that. First of all, they're doing it within their various divisions. They almost run these divisions as independent entities, and so there's agent-agent communication among the divisions itself, and then soon they'll have communications with agents outside their company. And so that movement is there. Now, the example I always give is, and from a US context. So I can use my driver's license and go to the airport and fly anywhere within the US. But then if I want to go outside the US, for example, I'm here in UK today, I have to carry my passport, right? The same way, think of the internal ID that is used within the enterprise as your driver's license. So agents inside the enterprise, they trust each other and they can start to communicate with one another. But then when you want to talk to agents outside, now you have a trust problem. You need a passport. Okay. And so what is that passport? So we started to create this registry where you register these agents and so on. And then MIT's initiative Nanda that came along that built this registry of registries and so on. Now, in speaking of consensus, there's a new ERC standard called 8004. It's called trustless agents. It's exactly what we built, but they have standardized it. So now we are speaking to them to participate in 8004 to at least become a reference implementation of it, because we've already built it. Okay. Where these agents are now, when they say trustless, meaning no agent needs to trust each other. It can look it up in a registry, and by the fact that you are in that registry means that any two agents can trust one another. Okay. And so that's what we built is now becoming standardized. And that's a very, very good thing. It's a very healthy thing for the market, and also gives you this property of discoverability. So anyone can look up anyone and go in contact and so on. If you don't have that, you have this peering problem that I mentioned earlier. Everyone needs to have these n number of connections to one another a priori, which is, I mean, once you have billions of agents, that's a intractable problem. It's like, you can't do that anymore. So you have to simplify it, and this 8004 is the right step at the right time. And so we are actually glad to be working with the likes of Consensus and Ethereum on that.
So you're not, out there trying to defend your patent and get people to stop using. You created this agent protocol, and when other people want to adopt it, you're like, okay, let's welcome this. We want to be the standard, and you know that you just stay ahead of the innovation curve,
exactly.
And your business is ahead of the rest of the innovation curve, and you'll grow and reap the rewards just by being on the front lines there.
Exactly. I mean, we're talking about some really well-established companies.
Okay.
We are still a startup, and we need to know our place in the world. And obviously, we have lofty goals. We want to be a unicorn and so on. And every startup should aim for the moon, aim for the stars, sort of thing. But the issue is, we understand these other players, where they are, how much power they wield, and we have to work collaboratively with them, and that's the best way to do it. Now, otherwise, you create these kind of like islands of technology that then they don't interoperate, and there's a problem. In fact, there are a lot of agents which have already been developed with certain tools like Crew AI, LangChain, Gemini, and so on. There are all these agents. But the number one problem that they have is they don't talk to one another. And so what we did is we actually have given away to the ecosystem something called Agent Wizard that gives these agents the same properties that our agents natively have: ID, name, wallet, the ability to connect, and all of these. Why we're doing this is because we believe that if people adopt these capabilities, over time we'll benefit either directly or indirectly, and using our tools and other things. So that's a better approach. While we cannot tell everyone to switch over, we rather be, like the O blood group. You can accept anything. You can, you don't need to force people to adopt your way of doing things.
This is the perspective of a multiple-time founder talking right now, right? And there's that old adage that first-time founders focus on product, second-time founders focus on distribution or collaboration. And I know this is like 5 and 6 and 7 for you when it comes to companies you've started and founded, but it really speaks to your experience, because the young kid starting off is like, no, it's got to be my way, and everybody else is copying me. And you're thinking the opposite. You're thinking, we want to give these protocols away. We want to be the standard. We want to move things forward. It's a whole different mentality, isn't it?
Right. I mean, I think we, the way to really build market shares, be friends and partners with everyone, and that's our approach. We want to be. You want to be in the middle of the conversation. You cannot make enemies. You have to collaborate, because the space is so broad. It's growing. By the time we have this end of this interview and this conversation, there'll be 2 new things that have come up that I have to go and read up. That's how fast it's moving. And so we have this approach of, being very, being woven into the fabric of everything that's going on. And I think that's the right approach.
Next big milestones for you, is it about landing those big clients like Google and Deloitte? Is it about really getting into their ecosystem and providing them the service? Or is there something else that you look as a major metric to get you to the next level?
So the main thing is the big players, obviously these collaborations with Deloitte, HP, Google and other things are a means to an end. The end customer would be the large enterprises. And they are the ones who need to adopt this technology. And that's on the B2B side. On the B2C side, it's equally exciting, because I'll just throw this out there to you. There are 7 billion people, 8 billion people on Earth today. Do you know how many phone calls we make to each other per year?
How many?
5 trillion.
That's crazy. 5 trillion calls between 7 or 8 billion people.
Exactly.
Wow.
And so we used that metric. It's kind of interesting metric because when we had to come up with the market size of what we are talking about, the enormity of what we are talking about, we went back to MIT Media Lab and we asked, how many agents do you think will appear in the market over the next 5 years? You know what their number? Their number is 1 trillion. Okay, 7 billion people. I'm just using people as a kind of a example, as like a parallel. 7 billion people, they think 1 trillion agents. Okay, and then we said, okay, let's be a bit more conservative. We'll say 100 billion. It's still a big number. It's almost 10 times the human population. So and then we said, okay, another interesting metric is how many devices do you have? I mean, I'm talking about developed world. I'm not, obviously there are some poor people in impoverished countries. I'm not talking about them, but in the developed world, let's say 1 billion of the people on earth are in the developed world, let's say. How many devices do you have? I mean,
this would be like a desktop, a laptop, a phone, and other wireless devices and things? I got an Oura Ring. I mean, it's a lot. I have a lot of phones, man.
A lot of phones, a lot of TVs.
10? Okay, I'm in tech and stuff. I'm probably
number.
10.
It's a great number. 10 is a good number. So if you just take that, it's already, and only 1 billion people I'm talking about. The other 6 I'm just ignoring for now. That's already 10 billion devices. Guess what? We are one of the conversations we're having is with Samsung Research. We're working with their team.
Samsung.
Yeah. And one of the things that they have, I think publicly also stated, all these companies, all the appliance companies, whether it's LG or Samsung or whatnot, all of the devices are, right now they are called smart devices, right? They will be agents. All of them are going to be agents. All your cars are going to be agents. I was the CTO for automotive.com, and, there's a rumor, and I think it's true, but Tesla cars have had wallets built in since 2016. That's what a lot of people say. I cannot confirm or deny that, but I do know for a fact that Daimler, for example, introduced a wallet that can be plugged into cars in 2018. And so what happens is, it's like these cars are going around with these wallets, but no one to talk to. Now the Wendy's drive-through in America is actually AI powered. It can be an agent. So theoretically, it's not a very distant hop to say that the car, a self-driving car, can go through the drive-through, order Brian burger, fries, and Coke, and come back while you are shooting something in the studio. It'll come back to you with the food, and you can pick it up. You don't need to call DoorDash. It'll come and pick it up, or whatever service there is in the UK. So that's the level of automation we are talking about. It's so just to state this again. So this 10 billion agents for 1 billion people times 10 is one side of it, but you talk about every car, every parking meter, every toll booth, everything around us is going to become a smart device. In fact, we have already proven it. We have a Jetson Nano, which is a small piece of hardware that NVIDIA puts out. And we run Nano GPT on it. And so this can be added to any other device. So we are in talks with one of the big, we are actually in the middle of setting up a proof of concept for Carrier Corporation, which is one of the big companies in cold chain, supply chain, and refrigeration, and so on, and air conditioning for buildings, HVAC company. Okay. So one of the things that they are interested in is possibly, we're still in early preliminary talks, but putting agents within every truck to ensure that the food or the pharmaceutical doesn't get spoiled. So that might seem very like a very simple problem, but it's not, because what happens is every item that you carry in such a truck has got different temperatures at which it will remain fresh.
what the London Real Investment Club actually does for you. It gives you the keys to open that door to the inside deals. In the last 3 weeks, I've participated in 3 incredible deals: a layer 2 Bitcoin protocol, an incredible AI protocol. The deal flow is beyond what I expected. I don't think I've ever seen a model like this that just gives average folks the opportunity to be behind the deals. And that's exactly what we've done. Not only that, you get to hang out with Brian Rose every week. And for me, that was huge because I look at Brian as somebody who's not only an expert in the space, and I think is on the leading edge, but just the leading edge of thought with London Real and the work he's doing there. To anyone who's taking a serious look at this, I know it's a big decision. It was a big decision for me and my family, and it is one of the best decisions I've ever made. So I wish you all the best and hope you come join us.
It'll spoil. Too cold and it gets frozen and brittle and it might spoil. Too warm, it might also be gone. So you have to be very careful. And so they don't only want smart devices, but smart devices that can think quickly and without human intervention. And it's sitting somewhere. And they actually do business throughout the world: China, Mexico, Europe, US. So these vehicles might be anywhere, and they want to make sure that there's intelligence in those remote places. And this idea is not only for one company. It's like almost every company out there in logistics would have to start thinking in this way. So I'm saying this 100 billion agents is not a big number if you start thinking a bit broadly.
Right. And the scale just keeps going and going and going. I saw recently the rugby players here in Britain now have smart mouthpieces, and they'll actually, a light will go on if the player has received a concussion. Now apparently they used to have them where you could test afterwards, but now it'll start blinking to where the referee and everybody can see it, and they have to pull the player out based on a concussion. And again, it's just yet another introduction of a device that probably needs to be an agent.
Yeah.
And can have all sorts of other things going on, and there's going to be so many. Every human is probably going to have hundreds.
It's funny you brought up sport because, as I told you, I'm a British soccer fan. So, sometimes players, after they score a goal, they take off their shirt. And then I always see them wearing a kind of a, male, like a bra type of thing, like a small thing. I didn't know what it was. I said, every player wears this thing. And then I discovered later on that this has got a tracking device at the back, which shows their movement, how much ground they covered in the game, how many passes they made. It covers a lot of things. They're all wearing it inside their jersey.
And vitals as well.
Yeah, it does everything. And I was like, oh, that's why they're wearing it. I was thinking, is it a sports thing that these guys wear this thing? It's not. It's a tracking device. And then I noticed at the back, just behind their neck, there's a kind of a sensor. And it's kind of strange. So it's interesting that you mentioned concussion protocol, but they're already doing a lot of sports science. Almost every team, a professional team now has got a sports science department that analyzes player movement, where they, how much ground they're covering, how many passes, how many headers, how many this and that. So interesting that you mentioned.
And in the NFL, they're all mic'd up now, and now with the various subscriptions, you can go listen.
To continue watching the rest of the episode for free, visit our website londonreal.tv or click the link in the description below.
Hey, I know investing in crypto is scary. It takes a real leap of faith because there are so many scams, rug pulls, and bad actors out there. It's a dangerous business, which is why 95% of people lose all their money. Well, that's why I created the London Real Investment Club, so you can access the hottest deals on the planet and use the crypto bull market to create the generational wealth that you deserve. Join my team of over 100 people from around the world that are making millions of dollars behind the scenes investing in blockchain, AI, Web3 games, DeFi, Bitcoin, and more. Don't miss out. Click the link below to book a call with one of my team now. But hurry, this bull market will end soon.
I know investing crypto can be scary. That's why you gotta join the investment club. Pull the trigger. Let's do this.